So before we get started, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Dana Nguyen, and I work on the Google Apps for Education and Chromebooks for Education team. And I am a Chrome fanatic, and I love all of the different tips and different kinds of shortcuts that you can do with Chrome, and so I wanted to share them all with you. So whether you're using a Chromebook or you've just downloaded the Chrome browser, I'll give a background on why Google created Chrome and then go into some of my favorite tips and shortcuts that you can start to integrate into your browser experience. Next week's webinar, November 16th at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing a webinar focusing on web apps and extensions. So I'll dive deeper into some of the things that you can do in the Chrome Web Store, some of my helpful extensions and web apps, and also open it up for all of you who are joining the webinar to share what your favorite ones are as well. So there's a lot of things to explore with Chrome, so we're just going to get started with the basics. So when we're looking at the web, if you remember way back when Netscape Navigator was the first real browser that we had out there, the web was just text, and the HTML markup language was really designed to do text and links, and it was really kind of a big step when we started to get images on web pages. And now these days, we're doing all sorts of things within the browser. We're doing video chatting, image editing. We've done all sorts of video streaming, things that really the web wasn't designed for, or at least those initial browsers were not designed for it way back when the web was starting. So why did Google design Chrome? When we were looking at the innovation and the types of things that were happening on the web, we realized that we wanted to push the web forward, and we wanted to take a browser and build it from the ground up for today's browsing experience. So taking into account streaming video, taking into account all of the text and image and media-heavy pages. So how can we make this a fast experience? In fact, one of the goals behind the Chrome browser is that we wanted to make it as fast as if you were reading a book or as fast as if you were reading a newspaper. So those images shouldn't have to wait to load. We wanted to make the browsing experience as fast as possible. So I've linked here to a couple of examples of the ways that you can use the Chrome browser, especially HTML5. My favorite one is actually the infinite bookcase. So all of these links you can access as well on the presentation that I shared, or you can go to chromeexperiments.com. And this is kind of a neat way to showcase the different HTML5 protocols and neat things that you can do with the browser today. So I'm going to go ahead and just launch this WebGL bookcase experiment. And now this is opening up a new window, so if you're not able to see it, please let me know. So this was just created, just released recently, and the idea behind it is it's using Google Books and trying to find a way where how can we get that browsing neat experience that you can get when you go to a bookstore, when you look at somebody's shelf, and just see different titles by the different types of subjects. So you can see here I can click on the different subjects. Maybe I want to go to biographies and memoirs. It does this neat browsing experience. And I can just continue to, I just keep scrolling. The more that I spin this bookcase, I'm getting new titles, and then you can click on a different title here, and it'll pop up open. So I can get a neat view into the book. I can even get a little preview of it from Google Books. There's a QR code. I can click here to get the book. This becomes a really interesting way to browse the Google Books courses or just online books in general. And this is something that wasn't really possible with the browser, the Netscape Navigator of 1996. An example of why Google wanted to take Chrome to a new level. There are a bunch of other neat examples. This flower power one, let's kind of draw in real time, following your mouse and in a different floral type of paint, I guess, or pattern. And then this arcade fire demonstration, if you haven't seen this yet, it's really neat. You actually incorporate in real time, kind of creates a music video that follows an address that you enter in, which is pretty neat. So there's another Chrome experiment that's called the evolution of the web, and this is just a screenshot of it. But if you start to just look at where web browsers started and when, so you can see we have different timelines here, and this is 1993. And you can see the different innovations that came. So we had Flash, we had XML, there was, some of these other Ajax, but they kind of, slowed down, and then we started to see a real pickup in all the different kinds of advances. And so Google Chrome has just done very many different releases in just the past 3 years. It started in 2008 and already has reached, I believe, release 8 or even 9 at this point. I can't even keep up. It's updating so quickly. So why did Google create a browser? Why did we go and develop Chrome? And so part of it was starting with the idea of speed. So we want it to be fast in every possible way. Again, how can we make it as fast as opening a book, as reading a newspaper? So some of the things that the Chrome team designed, again, from the ground up, is how do we make it start up very fast? So you're not waiting for toolbars to load. You're not waiting for all sorts of background processes. Chrome starts up fast. It's powered, the Chrome browser is powered by WebKit and V8, and V8 is actually something developed by our Chrome team to really accelerate the rendering of web pages and make it as fast as possible. And finally, how do we get you to what information that you want the fastest way possible? And so that's one of the reasons we created that omnibox. So it auto-completes suggestions, it shows suggested websites, it goes to your bookmarks. It's that one box where you can try and tell Google what you want to do, and we'll try and get you there as fast as possible. So what's another reason we created Chrome? So the simplicity. So the Chrome's browser window is streamlined, clean, and simple. So we've got very simple controls, kind of your basic forward, backward, refresh. You can add a home button. The home button isn't actually there by default. And then we try and give you more web. So one of the things when I first switched to Chrome was that I noticed is, wow, I got a lot more real estate. And, in the limited screen size of laptops and netbooks and things today, and all of the pixels count. So taking away different toolbars, integrating this all, having the tabs be at the top. And in the Windows version, you don't even have the kind of top menu that you'll see in Mac OS. I'm running this on the Mac right now. Oh, it looks like somebody let me know that you actually got the latest Chrome version is 15. So we've done quite a bit of progress in the past 3 years. Again, if you have questions about the webinar, throw them in that Q&A box, and I'll try and get to them if I can while I'm speaking, or definitely at the end. Finally, so the third pillar of Chrome is security. So we check links and have a cross-check against suspected phishing sites. We also warn you if we think that sites are going to install viruses or spyware. We have additional security features like auto-updating and sandboxing that really make your web browsing experience the safest possible. And this Chrome has been found to be one of the one of the least hackable browsers out there. So it's really something that we build on. And one of the reasons why we believe the Chrome operating system is so strong is our security built in with Chrome carries over into the Chrome OS system, so you don't have to worry about different kinds of virus and Trojan and other types of spyware attacks. So let's get actually into some of the tips that I'm going to share. So I'm going to show you how you get started, look at the searching capabilities, some tab browsing, the bookmark tips, just show off Translate, some web apps and extensions, and something else that I'm going to show is actually some of my favorite keyboard shortcuts. So if you haven't already downloaded Chrome, I would recommend that you do that. You can go ahead and follow along and do some of these tips while I'm talking about them. And you can go to google.com/Chrome. But as kind of an advanced tip, there are 4 different release channels for Chrome, and I linked to them here. So if you go to google.com/Chrome, you'll get to our stable channel. And so this really is our fully tested and blessed version of Chrome by the team. It's updated every 6 weeks for major releases, and we've got some minor releases that happen as well. And you'll know when there's a new Chrome release because your little wrench here will have an up arrow, which means it's time to update. And usually all it requires is just you to relaunch the browser, which we'll do very quickly. And thanks to the speed of Chrome, you'll get started and back to browsing immediately and get all of your last tabs loaded. So the beta channel is if you want to kind of see what's next without taking a lot of bugs or risks or things like that. And that's roughly updated every week. The dev channel, this is what's happening now, what the Chrome team is developing currently. So it does get tested, but there are still bugs that are out there. We want to get this out and let people try out what's as new as possible. Finally, there's the Canary build. So I'm actually sharing with you the Chrome Canary on Mac version of Chrome. And this is the bleeding edge. It's updated every day, and it's not tested. So it's kind of buggy. But one benefit of using Chrome Canary is that it uses a different profile than the rest of Chrome. So you can actually run Chrome Canary and run Chrome in either the stable beta or dev channels and have them be completely separate profiles. So I'm able to have a completely different account and everything all running on the Chrome Canary build. And you get to see really what's the bleeding edge and up and coming. And so I actually saw the new tab page that was just released in the stable channel in the last 2 weeks in Chrome Canary for quite a while. So you get a nice preview of what's coming. But it does have a few bugs. So if you're looking for just the stable browsing experience, just stick with google.com/Chrome and stay on that stable channel. So let's start with the new tab page. So I'll open it up to share as well. But this is something that you might want to see, is just the Chrome browsing experience. This is at the top, you've got your tabs. So I've got these tabs open up here. You've got the omnibox, and there's a lot that you can do with the omnibox, and I'll actually share with that soon. There's also your extensions. So I have a lot of extensions, and partly because I'm going to do that extension and web apps webinar next week, so I wanted to pre-install them and show some of them off if we have time. There's also the Bookmarks bar. So the Bookmarks bar will show anytime you do a new tab. You can also show and hide that, and I'll show that again in my Bookmark section. And then you've got your web apps. So these are my different web apps. They've got nice, pretty, shiny icons. They usually link to just a normal website, but some web apps are really quite interesting, like the Kindle File Reader or the New York Times web app are really built with HTML5 in mind and have a different browsing experience than if you just go to their website. So I encourage you to check some of those out. And again, I'll do a webinar next week focusing more on those. And then at the bottom here, it's a little harder to see. You've got some browsing history as well as kind of the different web apps you've installed. So most visited will bring up to the sites that you visit most often. You also have recently closed. So if you've recently closed a window, it'll show a set of tabs, or it'll also show some of your recently closed tabs. So let me just pull up a new tab window for you to see. So here it is live. Here are my bookmarks. Here's my omnibox. You can see down here, this is kind of my different pages of web apps. I have this fun typing test feature web app, which I tried to do live at a conference last week. And there's something about doing webinars or projecting or display where you will always mistype. So that's quite a bit. I digress. I go to some of the most visited sites here. So this is the different websites that I visit most often. Then I can also check out my recently closed tabs. So I have a bunch of different tabs here that I was looking at. And I can easily click on them and reopen them if I wanted to. So this is the new tab page. So search. Let's talk a little bit about search. We have the omnibox. So something about the omnibox is that it's not just your URL bar. It's not even just Google search. It actually pulls up a lot of different things, and you'll be able to tell by the different icons that show up. So it'll search your bookmarks. It'll look at visited sites from your browsing history. It'll also do suggested searches based on, when you start to type. It's kind of like the autocomplete on regular google.com. It'll also do suggested sites. So even more than just a search, it'll give you an idea of where it thinks that the site that you want to go. It'll also search your web apps. So you don't have to open a new tab to get to your web apps. If you just start typing, it'll pull that up. So if I actually go here and I start to type, let's say Khan Academy, I can see that I've got Khan Academy bookmarked, which is my star. So that's the first result that Google wants to take me to, because it thinks that most likely I'm going to want to go to and place my bookmark. It also starts the Google search, has some suggested searches here. And Khloe Kardashian, I guess, is a suggested site, something that people visit often on the web. I'd like to note here that it does not have the little history mark, which means that I have not visited KhloeKardashian.webbuzz.com. It's merely a suggested site, just in case you were questioning my web page. It's just a suggested site where other people, maybe not you, but somebody else that you know, visit that page. So it's kind of a quick example. Or, if I start to type YouTube, you'll see that I get, actually, let me go back one. It's not showing let me start typing TweetDeck. So you'll see that I do a search for Twitter here. It'll take me directly to twitter.com. It also pulls up my web app, and you can tell by that little box, my TweetDeck. So if I clicked on that, it would pull up TweetDeck. So again, I don't have to go to my News tab page. I can launch it directly from there. So another thing you can do is you can add search engines, and Chrome will actually automatically add some search engines for you. So let me just show you an example of a search engine. So if I type Y, you'll notice that something comes up here. It says press tab to search YouTube video. So it went away. Let me try again. Y, and if I hit tab, it'll do search YouTube video search. So I can do a search for Chromebooks, and it'll actually go directly to YouTube. And it does the search for Chromebooks. So I've got another one. If I type A, you'll notice it says press tab to search Amazon. So I'm able to then press tab and just search Amazon. So I can search Amazon for the Kindle Fire. So it kind of is able to build in other search engines into that omnibox. So it's not just Google. So I'll show you how to do that. If you go to the wrench bar and you go into your preferences, you'll notice that there's a section here for search, and there's an option to manage search engines. So you'll see I already have a bunch of search engines already added in here, and the way that it works is that it pulls the URL that would happen when you return a search, and then you replace %s in place of your query. So if I'm able to just kind of scroll over to Amazon, got a bunch of things in the URL, keep scrolling over, and you'll see that it has my %s here when it says, field keywords. So let me go back to Amazon, and you'll see that if it says URL search field keyword equals Kindle Fire. So that's what I entered in. So if you do a search on any page and look at the search results, look for where your search query is, then you can just replace it. So I could just replace this with %s, and then you can copy that URL and paste it into this other search engine like that. So I replaced wherever my keyword is with the %s. And so Google will actually automatically pick up some of these things. So I added Wikipedia, because I'm often searching Wikipedia. And if I just do a search now, I can do wiki, I have to delete it, and then I can press tab, and I can search Wikipedia. So I'll search Wikipedia for, let's say, Khan Academy. And so now it does the Wikipedia search, but since it knew it already had an entry for it, it's just me right there. So there's some shortcuts that you can do with different searches. So you can do this with any kind of website that has a search, and oftentimes Google will even automatically index it. Now what's neat is that you can change these keywords. So I changed the Amazon keyword to A, but I could change it to A and Z. So now if I try and enter in A and Z, you'll see I can press tab and I can search Amazon. So those keywords you can actually customize and change to be whatever you want. So I could change YouTube to be, for example, YT. I could change Wiki to be just W. Whatever you want, you can modify it there in your search engine. Just close these other tabs out here. So another thing you can enable is Chrome Instant. So Chrome Instant is another way that you can actually get to your results faster. Again, our Chrome team and Google are really committed to speed. So if I go ahead and go into my settings again, actually I already have them open, you can see there's an option here that says Enable Instant for faster searching. So that should be checked by default, but if you don't, you can go ahead and, or if you have disabled at all, you can go ahead and enable it. So I'm just going to start searching again for example, Khan Academy. And it will actually start, you know what, that one's not. I'll start just searching for Khan. And my web live demo isn't working right now, so let me try something else. Let's do a search for Android. So you can see, as soon as I started typing A and B, the Google page started loading right in the background. And it started doing the search for Android. It auto-completed it and pulled it up. So you don't even have to hit enter. So the idea of the Chrome team here is they want to make browsing so fast that you can reduce the number of keystrokes you need. You can just start typing. It'll start pulling things up. So maybe if I want to pull up, app, or, I pull up Apple, if I start typing APP, if I start typing app, it'll start doing, apps for iPad, because that's the autocomplete, and if I start, apps for education, it'll again pull up that search instantly. This is the same as you can also do Google Instant on just the regular Google homepage, and except this way it's built right into Chrome. And sometimes if it's a website that you visit frequently, it'll load that web page instead of just the Google search query. So another example of using the omnibox and getting to your results as fast as possible. Finally, another neat feature that I like in Chrome are the highlight and search features. So if I go to any website, let's say I'm going to the tips for living on the web, I've got a bookmark here. I like to, maybe I want to do a search for Chromebook. Instead of having to type this, so this is my Google Dictionary extension that's showing, but instead of having to type it and then copy it and paste it into the omnibox bar, I can actually right-click or control-click and just do search Google for Chromebook. So this is a really fast way for you to pull up searches on any pages that you're visiting. So any page that you go to, you can easily search. Again, if I wanted to do a search for, even on this web page, if I want to do a search for, what is Google I/O? I could just right-click, search Google for Google I/O. And so again, easily pull up that web search. You don't have to copy, paste. You don't have to retype it. Just highlight and search. And I use that very frequently. So let's go into some bookmarking. So I'm a big bookmarking fan, and I wanted to show off some of my, I'm calling them keyboard shorties, some keyboard shortcuts. I'm a big keyboard shortcut fan. I like to do a lot with my keyboard. I find that it's a little bit easier, it's faster, saves a little stress on my wrist too from navigating with my mouse. But how do you do some just general bookmarking? So general bookmarking, you just use the star up in the right corner of the omnibox. And that'll bookmark that page, and it'll come up with a name. You'll also have an option to do different folders. So I could add this to my Google Chrome folder. Click done. And then this presentation is now bookmarked. If I want to unbookmark it, I just click on the star again, and I can click the remove button. And I can also just do Control or Command D, and I can bring that up as well. So that's the keyboard shortcut there. Another thing that you can do, and I use this frequently, is bookmarking all tabs. So if you right-click on a tab, you can see that there's an option to bookmark all tabs. So you can right-click, control-click, and I can bookmark all tabs, and it'll be able to place it in a folder, or I can place it in a new folder. So I can place them in a new folder called Demo in my bookmarks bar. So now, if I pull up a new tab, I can see I have Demo, and I've got all of the different bookmarks that I have open right now. So that's neat. If you've got a bunch of bookmarks open, you are always, say, doing a set of demos or a presentation, and you want to have all of your bookmarks pulled up, you can easily do that. And the keyboard shortcut for that is just Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D, and then it'll bookmark all your tabs. So Control-D is just one bookmark, add the shift, and you get them all. Another great tip is open bookmarks in tabs. So let's say we have this folder, this Google Chrome folder, it's got 3 bookmarks in it. I can right-click that and click Open All Bookmarks in New Window, or just even Open All Bookmarks. And when I do that, it opens all the ones in that folder in a new window. So again, if you bookmark all the tabs into a single window, you can also easily open all those tabs in a new window. So another thing you can do is add or hide or show the the bookmark bar. So if you hit Command or Control-Shift-D, you'll be able to toggle that bookmark bar. So now you can see I've got my bookmark bar showing up underneath my omnibox, but I can hit Control-Shift-D to hide it again. So if you want to get some more room. So again, Control-Shift-D and Control-Shift-D to hide it. You'll also notice a kind of neat trick on the new tab page when you do that. If you do Control-Shift-B, those bookmarks just kind of move right up there, and then once I hit it again to hide it, it detaches itself. So that's kind of a neat little tip. Another thing that you can do is is a bookmark manager. So this is where you can manage your different bookmarks. So if I go to my wrench, and you'll get a lot of what you need to do right from this wrench menu, you can go to the tools, and not the tools, where is it? It's just right here. If you go to bookmarks, you can go to your bookmark manager. And here, you'll be able to if you want to create new folders, you can click this organize button and add a new page, add a new folder. You can rename things. You can order them by title, or you can just move them around in whatever order that you want to do. I could, for example, take this bookmark and drag it into a different folder. So this bookmark manager is where you kind of handle all your bookmarks. You can also search for them right here. It's pretty handy. And then a quick way to get there, actually I think it's different from the Chromebook. On the Chromebook you hit Control-Shift-O, but on a Mac or a PC you hit the Control-Option-D. So a bonus that I like to show is this Sync Chrome to save bookmarks to your account. So if you are not already syncing Chrome, you can go again to you can see here it says signed in as chromebookclassroom@gmail.com. That's my demo account here. But if you're not signed in, you can go to the preferences again, and if you go to personal stuff, you can sign in to your Chrome account, and you can choose what you sync there. So you can choose to sync everything, or you can choose what to sync if you just want to sync your bookmarks or other things. But if you choose to sync everything, then that means if you sign into a Chromebook or you have a different Chrome browser on another computer and you sign in, it will take all of your bookmarks, your autofill, your passwords, your extensions, your preferences. It'll take all of that with you, so you don't have to set them again. Which means that if you log into a Chromebook, you should have all of your bookmarks show up immediately. Or if you set up a new browser and you sync it, all of your bookmarks will come with you. So I think that's a nice advantage. All of your things are stored with your account, not necessarily just your computer, so you can take them with you. So here's another step that I like to show is tab browsing. So with tabs, you can easily just drag and drop them right here. And you can also take multiple tabs if you hit Shift-click will do it on a Mac. Oh, you can see if I move. Oh, maybe it's not Shift-click, sorry. It might be Control-click or Command-click. Yeah, so I've Command-clicked, and it should be moving all of them, but it's not at the moment. Let me try again. Shift-click. It's not moving them multiple ones for some reason during this demo. I'll have to make sure that I was doing that correctly. But I know that with the Chromebook, if you do Control-click, you can Control-click multiple tabs and have them move around and show up, and makes it easy for that management. Another thing you can do is drag URLs to the tab strip. So if you're here and you want to just quickly open a new tab, you can just drag it right into the tab strip. So a little arrow will point down, and it can show up right there. Another thing you can do, this is kind of my bonus tip, if I Control-Shift-B, I want to show my bookmark bar here, you can also take any link and drag it right into your bookmark bar and have a bookmark easily show up there. So now I've got a bookmark. That's kind of another drag and drop tip. Another thing you can do, let me hide the bookmark bar again, is right or Control-click the tab to get some good options. So you can reload tabs, you can duplicate tabs, so you can close tabs, you can close other tabs, which is useful if you've got a lot of tabs open. You can also close tabs to the right. You can also see reopen, close tab, and bookmark all tabs, which we talked to. So right-clicking on a tab gives you a lot of information. On a Chromebook, you can actually do a two-finger click, and that'll show up too. So pins tab. If you haven't tried pinning tabs before, you can take a look there. If you go right here on my window, you can see that they become very small, and they will always show up onto the left. So here's my pins tab that I have. And so to pin a tab, you right-click or Control-click or two-finger click, depending on what machine you're using. You just click Pin tab. You notice that it shrinks and it's limited to your left side of your screen. And you can think of these as, if you always have these tabs open, like I always have Gmail, I always have Docs and Calendar open, I don't need to see the whole favicon and have it take up the whole tab. You can minimize it. What's also nice about pin tabs is that they'll show up every time that you open Chrome. So it's kind of like a favorite tab or a saved tab is another way that you can think of pin tabs. To unpin it, again, you just right-click and you can click the Unpin tab. So now one of my favorite things to show is the Cover Last tab trick. So let's say I open up, this page that I have here about Chromebooks, and I'm somebody who usually has a ton of tabs open, so I'm going to go ahead and open up a bunch of tabs. And inevitably, I'll get to the point where I've got 30 tabs open, and I accidentally close the wrong one. And then I panic for a moment, and I can't remember which tab I closed. So all I have to do is if I hit Command or Control-Shift-T, that tab that I closed will show up again. Not only will it show up again, it'll show up in the same tab order where it was before. So you notice that tab didn't show up at the end. it showed up right in the middle. So that's a neat tip here. Recover your last tab with Control-Shift-T. So if you're a tab maniac and accidentally close those tabs, that's a real handy shortcut. So here are some black belt tips. So if you notice in my Chrome browser bookmark here, you'll notice that a couple of these bookmarks, they don't have the full title. I've limited to just the favicons. And I do this because I know that this is Khan Academy, I know this is Netflix, I know this is Pandora, I know this is Amazon. And so if you want to do that, like let's say this Amazon one, if I right-click it, and I click the edit button, you'll see all I did was just delete the name. So if I go to this what browser one, that's got a pretty useful looking favicon, and I right-click, I click edit, I can just delete what browser, and now it becomes a little favicon. And I like to kind of reorder my favicons on the left, like my pin tab, so I can just drag it from that bookmark bar all the way over. And so now I've got my favicons here. And so you don't have to do it with all of them. You can just do it with some of your favorites. So another option I can do here is set pages on startup. So if you, again, always want to have some pages, if you're always looking at CNN or the New York Times, and you just always want it to open, you can set those pages to load on startup. So if I go into Preferences, again, you'll see it says on startup. So my current setting is to reopen the pages that were open last, because for me, I just want to recover everything. But I could change it to open the following pages. So I could have it open, if I want to have Google.com open, and I could have, news.google.com open, and maybe I want Pandora. Oops. Let's save that one. Then I could add Pandora.com. So if I open these, I don't know, Pandora isn't working for me. Now, if I close the browser, which I'm not going to do because then I won't show it to you, but if I close the browser and open it, it will automatically open these pages in tabs for me. But I prefer to keep mine on reopen the last pages that were open. Another thing you can do is just like on Google.com, if you do a search for math and conversions, you can actually do those right in your omnibox. So I cook frequently, and I'm often wondering what the different conversions are. So maybe I can do 100 grams to ounces. And so you'll see that I don't even have to hit enter. It shows up right in my omnibox. That equals 3.52 ounces. Or if I wanted to do, 75 divided by 2, I can pull that in, and for some reason that one isn't working, but it pulls up it using Chrome Instant as well. So you can do some of those search tips that you would do normally in Google Search in your omnibox as well. Another neat thing is that if you want to go to your settings quickly, you don't want to go to the wrench or anything, you can use these kind of Chrome-specific URLs. So Chrome, ://settings, bookmarks, versions. Oops, those shouldn't have extra colons in there, so ignore those colons. So if I just type Chrome settings, I get to those preferences. If I type Chrome bookmarks, I get to my bookmark browser. So it's kind of a URL short tip. So let me just talk quickly about Google Translate. So one of the really neat things that you can do with the Chrome browser is translate pages automatically. So if I go into my preferences, I actually had it open already, you'll see that if I go into under the hood, there's a section here for translate, and this should be checked by default, but you can choose to offer to translate pages that aren't in a language I read. So I'll show you an example. So I shop a lot on Amazon. Probably not a week that goes by when I don't buy something on Amazon. And so, there's an Amazon page that I know and love, and I'm going to visit the Japanese page. And so Google Chrome recommends that it says this page is in Japanese, would you like to translate it? Because it recognizes that I don't typically visit Japanese pages, so if I click the Translate button, we take advantage of Google Translate, which is some machine learning that Google has really worked on. It's really very good. And you can see that this almost looks exactly like the normal Amazon homepage, save for a few of the images that aren't necessarily text that can be translated. But this will show up on any page that you go to that's not in the language that you typically visit in. You'll also see there are some other options here. So maybe if I did speak Japanese, I could say never translate Japanese. Or if there was a site where I wanted to make sure it wasn't translating, I could say never translate this site. So those options will show up automatically whenever you visit a page that's not in your language. Really neat option. I was vacationing to Vietnam, and I used this translate feature frequently. It helps translate different websites and different travel tips that weren't in English, and it didn't matter what language it was in. It was almost like, language didn't matter anymore in Chrome. I knew that I could go anywhere on the web and understand it. And so we also have the Chrome Web Store. So the Chrome Web Store is a place where you can find apps and extensions and view ratings. And this is actually a screenshot of the old web store. So let me just take you on a quick tour of that. And again, next week I'll be doing a more in-depth overview of the Chrome Web Store. So Chrome Web Store will always show up on your new tab page, now pinned to that top left corner. So it's the first one that you see. And so now it's got a neat feature here, this Chrome Web Store, where it's basically infinite scroll. So you can just keep scrolling forever. I really tried this for a while to see if I could ever get to the end, and I didn't. So I'll be interested to see if anybody here can actually get to the end of the Chrome Web Store. But you can see there are different Chrome web apps and extensions that you can install. This is kind of a neat way to browse it. So if I want to install this graphic calculator, I can just click Add to Chrome, and it'll install it. And so you can tell if something is a web app versus an extension. So that one was a web app. So now it's going to pop up right here in my app page. You can tell if it's a web app or extension because extensions will have this little puzzle piece on them. So send to Kindle. This is, again, that puzzle piece kind of makes it an extension. So when you add it, it'll be a puzzle piece. So we've got some other things here that you can check out. So I actually don't want to see this information right now. But you can also do, something I wanted to show is themes. And themes can also sync with your Chrome account. So you can see lots of different themes. I just have a classic theme here, but the theme will show up in the background of your tabs and on your new tab page. So there's some fun themes by different artists. And also some themes by Google. So you can install some fun themes if you're interested in doing that. And also the Chrome Web Store breaks down into all these different areas. And again, you can access the Chrome Store from that new tab page, and it'll always show up in your apps right here. And you can install those different apps as well. If I want, I can actually click this and move over to my previous page and move it around. So one nice thing about your new tab page is that you can move the things around wherever you want to go, just like you can move things on your bookmark bar with that drag and drop. It's pretty intuitive once you just click and hold it and drag it wherever you want to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and share all of my keyboard favorite shortcuts. So here's a couple that I find. The left side are kind of the basic ones, the ones that I use all the time. The ones on the right are a little bit more advanced. So a new tab, if you press Control or Command-T, that'll open a new tab. If you hit Control or Command-N, that will open a new window. I'm going to go ahead and close those. Now, if you want to open something in a new tab, so let's say I'm on a website here, and I want to open this in a new tab, I can Command or Control click it, and it'll open in a new tab right behind my current tab. So that's another quick way to just keep opening lots of things in tabs, is Control or Command click. And I've got a bunch of things that just opened up all in right behind my current tab. So another thing you can do is open just closed tabs. So I talked about that. If I hit Command or Control Shift T, it'll open that last tab. And here's another tip. If you just keep hitting Command Shift T, it will continue to open up your recently closed tabs, going back as far as your history goes. So another neat feature. Control Shift T, not limited to just your last tab. So incognito window. So an incognito window will allow you to open a browser window that will not record your browsing history, will not save any of the things that you type into it. So that's kind of a good place. Sometimes if you want to do, for example, multiple account logins, you can open an incognito window, or if you just want to open a window that doesn't have your login information. So to do that, you hit Control-Shift-N. And you can tell it's incognito because it's got the little incognito man on there. And Google will tell you that as well. So now when I'm incognito, it's not going to save any of my account login information, or it will save none of my website information. So again, new window is Control-Command-N, new incognito is Control-Command-Shift-N. So now, since you're opening all these tabs and windows, you want to know how to close them quickly. So if I open a new tab, Command-T, the easiest way to close it is just Command-W, and that will shut just a tab. Now, if I open a new window, so if I do Command-N, I can hit Command-Shift-W to close that window. So those are some shortcuts there. Now, if you want to quickly jump to different tabs that you have open, you can hit Command or Control 1 through 8, and that will go through your tabs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you have more than 8, unfortunately, it won't go to those. But, for example, I can hit Command 6, and it jumps to my 6th tab. I can hit Command 2, and it jumps to my 2nd tab. If I hit Command 3, it'll jump to that tab. Now, there are different ways to navigate to different neighboring tabs depending on whether you're on a Mac, a PC, or a Chromebook. And so I'm not going to show those because those are different. So open link in new window. So I showed you how to open a link in a new tab by just doing Command click. If you do Shift click, it'll open that link in a brand new window. That's another tip that you can do. Those are kind of your basic opening up all these different things. Some other tips that you can do is if you want to just move back page, so if I move forward, if I move to a couple different web pages here and I just want to go back, I don't have to go and hit the back button. I can just hit my backspace or delete button, and it goes right to my back page. Now, if I want to go forward, I can hit Shift Delete, and it'll take me forward again to where I was. So backwards will take you back to page, Shift backwards or Shift Delete will take you forward. Now, another thing that happens often in browsers is you copy something from somewhere and you want to paste it, but if you're using Google Docs, you don't necessarily want to paste it with all the formatting that came from a different web page. So instead of doing Control-V or Command-V, if you do Control-Shift-V or Command-Shift-V, it will paste it as plain text, so it won't have any of the bolding or colors or any of that formatting. So that can be very convenient if you're dealing with a word processing or Google Docs or an email even. So some more shortcuts. I showed you the URL shortcuts for getting to preferences and your bookmarks. But the keyboard shortcut to get your preferences is you hit Control or Command and then the comma key. So Control, Command, then hit the comma key, and it will take you to your preferences. Let me close some of these other windows here, just to make it easier to find. And then to get to your history, if you want to see your browsing history, use Control, Command, Y. And then you can go full screen by hitting Control or Command, Shift, and F. And that'll get you to full screen mode. So you can try that out. I talked about the bookmarks, and the bookmark manager is Control-Option-V, or Command-Option-V, and that'll get me to my bookmark manager. And then this is a common one that people don't often use. It's a very simple shortcut. It's just Command or Control-F will help you find what you're looking for. And it'll highlight it right on the page, and it'll give you a count of how many search queries on that specific page will show up. So Control F or Command F, very useful shortcut. Oops, I accidentally closed my presentation. So some other resources I wanted to point out. There's a neat website called What Browser, and that will tell you what browser you're using. There's a neat Chrome web app called 20 Things I Learned About Browsers and the Web to help you learn a little bit more. Those Chrome experiments and the Chrome Web Store and also some more of those webinars. Again, the webinar I'm doing next week will be on the web apps and extensions. So that's November 16th. You can register for those if you want. And so now I'm going to go ahead and look at some of the questions that you guys have asked me while I've been presenting. So let's see. Is there a way to get these links even if we weren't registered for the last few events? Yes. On this page, I will add a link to the archived webinars, and you can get to those resources there. So check back on this webinar registration page, and on these webinars themselves, I'll link to the resources. So will these experimental websites work on a Chromebook? Yes. So Chrome experiments work on best with a Chrome browser, but really any modern browser that runs HTML5. I guess if you have any questions, please ask them in the Q&A box, and I can answer them. How did I get to my preferences? So to preferences, a couple different ways you can get there. One is hitting the wrench and going into preferences. Another way you can do it is by hitting Control or Command, comma, and that'll pull up your preferences. So let's see. I use searchplugins.net all the time to generate my own search engines in open search format. Does Chrome support open search format for search engines? You know, I'm actually not sure about that. I would have to try it, so I can try it afterwards and let you know. So So in a Chromebook, can you set the Chrome Management Console to specify the customized Omni search for specific groups? For example, can I set it up so that all students get the Wikipedia search, either by book or by specific group? You know, that's another great question, and I can actually I'm going to pull up a browser and go to my Chromebook Management Console and do a quick check on that. So if you haven't seen the Chromebook Management Console, I'll actually show it to you right now. It's in the product settings that we have. So let me look at Chrome OS. So here are the different settings I can do. So I know there are some omnibox settings in here. It looks like you can't specifically add those shortcuts. You can change who the omnibox search is, but I don't think that's exactly what you want to do. So right now with Chromebooks, you can only set the omnibox main one. But the nice thing about Chrome is actually, if you go to any website, it will automatically add that search into it. So if you visit Amazon.com and you do one search on Amazon.com, in the future, when you type Amazon.com, you can hit tab and search it that way. So if a student does a search on Wikipedia at any point, Google will automatically remember that search URL and will show it. So I'll show you just a quick example of that. So let me go into managing my search engine. Let me remove Wikipedia. And let me open up Wikipedia. And let me do a search here for, let's say, Academy Awards. Let's see if that'll show up. Or I can do a search for, let me do another search for, let's see, I'm blanking on best picture. Maybe I'll try that. So it's showing these different Wikipedia results. Let me see. Yes, so you'll see that I visited Wikipedia and I deleted it. But now that I searched on Wikipedia again, Google automatically added that search engine there. So if I ever type wikipedia.org, let me try that again, wikipedia.org, you'll see it says press tab to search Wikipedia. So if a student ever visits it once, Google Chrome will add it. So if you want to share a set of bookmarks, you can use Web 2.0 tools like Digo or Share Tab. So another way, using the Chromebook Management Console, so you can't necessarily share bookmarks yet with the Chrome Management, but you can preload pages. So let me go back to my management. So if I'm in my Chrome console here, so I showed how you could also preload pages on startup as well. But within the user settings, the user experience section, you can load pages on startup. So it's not quite the same as having a set of bookmarks, but it is possible to do that. So another question, when will you be able to access the presentation again? So you can access it via the short link. Let me actually pull up the short link to the presentation. It's on my first slide. And I'll also send an email out for this as well. So is there a cost for the Management Console for use in K-12? So the Management Console comes when you buy Chromebooks, so Chromebooks for education. So with the Chromebooks for education, you can buy them directly from Google, and they cost $4.49 for the Wi-Fi version, and that will give you 1 year of that Management Console and 24/7 support from Google, as well as an advanced replacement warranty from Google for 1 year. If you want to continue that Management Console, and again, the Management Console is what you see here, where you're able to set different settings for the different groups in your domain and see different things like on your device and limiting sign-in. You can get that, again, if you pay $5 a month after that. So at the beginning of the presentation, I showed the WebGL bookcase. Is there a cost to read these books? So if it's a book in the public domain, then Google Books will make that available for you to free. But if it's a book that's in the Google eBook store that the publisher has for sale, it will be a paid product. So the URL to the presentation is not loading. So let me see. Let me check on it, see if I click on the link if it loads. It should be loading, but I will send out the link to everybody who attended or registered for the webinar, so hopefully that will work for you there as well. And as far as last week's webinar, we haven't sent out the follow-up yet, but we will send that out to everybody who attended, and I'll also link to it from that registration page. So on all of these, I'll link the presentation so you can access it right from the webinar. So another question here, somebody asked, can you show the way to save favicons again? So yeah, so it's very easy. You just click on, or if you right-click on a bookmark and click Edit, you can actually, if you just delete the name, it'll just become a favicon. So if I edit again, I can add here, you know, Chromebook Central Help Forum, and then it'll show up again. So just right or control click or two-finger click on the bookmark, edit it, and just delete the name. All right, so somebody's using Chrome in their computer labs are concerned about all the games that cause distraction. He tried blocking the URL to the Chrome store, but still couldn't snag it. So the best way to be able to block those kinds of games actually would be using the Chromebooks for education and management capabilities. So with Chromebooks or Chrome OS for education, you can actually block extension IDs, and this includes web store and extensions. So that's really the only way right now, where if you wanted to manage what people are installing or cannot install, it would be using Chromebooks for education using this management console. And to do that, you would just get the, if I pull up, let me just jump back to my other window. So if I pull up the Chrome Web Store, as far as what you would enter in there, say, let me just pull this up. You'll see that there's kind of a key here, an alpha key, and that is what you would enter. If I copied and pasted that, that was what you would enter in your extension ID to block. All right, so on Chromebook, can you disable incognito browsing for a group of students through the management console? So you can, So you can, first of all, you can disallow guest mode, which is kind of broad incognito browsing. And I believe, let me check. It actually looks like you can't pull up the incognito browsing in the Chromebook management console. So it looks like it's just limited right now to your device settings, so you can choose that they always have to log in, but they could still create an incognito window. So if you're on a PC or Chromebook, what do you use instead of command? You use the control key. So control is the same as command, depending on, which, a command is what you use on a Mac, and control is what you would use on a Chromebook or a PC. How do you reduce the theme window? So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the theme window. So if whoever asked that question wants to clarify, that would help. So can I send you the shortcuts? So you can absolutely access them from my webinar here, but if you just do a search for Chrome shortcuts, you'll see right here in Windows shortcuts, Mac shortcuts, and the Google Chrome Help Center, and you can access all of those different shortcuts. So can you control Chrome Sync and individual items that sync? So you can control, if I go back into my preferences here, and my personal stuff, so you can control at a broad level, so apps, bookmarks, extensions, etc., but you can't control individual apps or individual bookmarks. It will sync all of these categories. And can you disable individual pass-through Chromebook policies? So actually, I believe you can, because if you go under org settings, there is the option to have Google Sync. So you can turn off Google Sync in your control panel if you need to. Do you need the management console in K-12 if just using Google Apps, or is there a cost? So the management console for Chrome only comes if you're using Chromebooks for education. So it does not come for just using Chrome browsers. It only comes if you have Chromebooks for education. So there is a cost to purchasing Chromebooks for education. If you don't have Chromebooks, unfortunately, you do not have access to this management console. This is only for the Chromebooks for education. But you can still do all those other things that I showed you to do in Chrome. You just won't be able to control them at an organization level. Can you simply whitelist extensions and apps so everything not listed is blocked? So in the Chrome control panel, if you were using Chromebooks again, you could, for example, if you use the asterisk, that's a wild card, which means you're blocking everything. So if you do that, you can block everything and then just whitelist the extensions that you'd want to include. So that's a way to block everything. So can you lock down a single window for a set time period? At this time, that was not something that's built in directly to Chrome. That might be something that Chrome web apps might be able to do. I know that some people have a closed browser feature of testing some testing services. I'm not sure how exactly those work, but I'm sure if you could do a couple Google searches, it would take you that up. So, all right, thank you everybody for joining. We are out of time, but I will send you links to all of these resources that I shared, as well as a recorded version of this presentation, and a link to these questions that people are asking as well, with the answers typed in stuff. So, thank you for joining you, and I'll try to answer a few of these questions offline as soon as I stop the recording and stop speaking. So again, thanks for joining.